pop out of the same hidden wall in which we entered. Just as before, the main ceremonial hall is empty. We wave goodbye to the couple of monks sweeping the entryway. They begin the walk back to the village. Ask Kara who the Vestons were, ask Amelia what her theory about the mysterious woman is. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and talk to them. I want to ask Amelia about the theory. I approach Amelia. So, that theory that you mentioned in the temple about the woman, what was it? Amelia glances at me.
Given the location and circumstances previously described by Odorism, my estimation is that the unknown woman you encountered was a projected image of the fire elemental. Of course, as I could not observe her myself, I cannot be certain.
Do you think that's why she wouldn't talk back? Also, why wouldn't she just show up in person?
The amount of energy needed to sustain just an appearance of the elemental would have drained the temple completely. There would have been no energy left for her to give to you.
Is that why she disappeared right after?
The depletion of energy in the temple would have meant she'd no longer be sustained in this world.
Amelia looks thoughtful.
Although, it is quite unusual that she would have you absorb the energy to begin with. I
see. I had a feeling that was her. No wonder she was so hot. Oh my god. I had a feeling that was her. Yeah, I must say that. I had a single suspicion that was her. I mean, who else could it have been? Amelia nods.
It pleases me that you too have reached the same conclusion.
Thanks. She looks thoughtful.
Still, it is quite perplexing that she would only reveal herself to you.
It's not just me. The Pongo saw her too, I think. He didn't really make it clear that he was seeing her or just the fox thing.
The Guardian.
Huh?
The fox would be the guardian of the fire temple. Each temple has its own guardian who protects it.
Oh. So how come the Guardian didn't attack us for breaking into the temple?
We did not break in. The Guardian enforces the trial in the temple. Only those who are able to complete the trials are welcome into the temple.
In this case, the magical fire we had to put our stuff in? Amelia holds still deep in thought. Oh, nods, sorry. Are you still trying to figure out why no one else could see the elemental? She nods again. Any theories?
As of now, I do not have one. But perhaps after some further research.
Her voice trails off as she falls back into the deep thought. Let's ask Kara about the Vestians, because she did find some rusty Vestian coins. I fall in step with Kara. So, what exactly were the Vestians?
They were the original tribe of Ember Mist, and the initial keepers of the Fire Temple.
Did they build the temple? Kara shrugs.
It depends on who you ask. Some experts believe they did. Others think the temple was already there by the time the Vestians came about.
Interesting. Now I'm curious. How'd you get into the treasure hunting? She pauses just a little too long before flashing me her usual cheerful grin.
I just sort of fell into it, honestly. Treasure hunting naturally fit into my nomadic lifestyle.
What'd you learn of the history to even identify relics?
You'd be surprised how much you pick up along the way, especially after you realize what a lucrative business this can be.
So you're just in it for the money?
I didn't say that. I'll admit that at first I was just in it for the money. But the more I learned about the ancient people of Asaria, the more invested I became in the history of each relic I found. I started to find myself daydreaming about who might have used the items I found. What kind of person were they? Did they cherish this item, or was it just another piece of their ever-growing collection of stuff?
That's a good way of thinking. You're more than meets the eye. That seems like a foolish way of thinking. That's actually a cool way of thinking. This is a bad option I don't want to take. No. Cool way of thinking, yes. More than meets the eye. I guess this will be an extra compliment. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and compliment. That's actually kind of cool. It's actually kind of nice. I had no idea Kara had this side of her. That's surprisingly deep. Kara raised an eyebrow.
I'm full of layers.
Wow, okay. I look her up and down and take in her barely there attire. Not from what I can see. She smirks.
Metaphorically speaking.
Ah, right. Kara, Zek, and Amelia lead the way back to Ember Mist, while I lag behind. The Pongo sits on my head. Diana notices my absence and falls into step with me. She pats the Pongo, who ignores her, still to focus on the energy around me. Liana pouts and shakes away the Pongo's disregardance out of her and focuses her attention on me. Poor Liana. Pongo is not giving her any love.
Something on your mind?
I drop my voice low so the others can hear me. Now that I've collected the energy from the temple, it means that I can try to create a temporal rift and go back home, right? Kara stops, then whirls around and faces. Zack and Amelia stop with her.
Pardon me, you were speaking very softly and it was a little hard to hear, but it sounded like you just said you need to open a temporal rift to go back home? But that can't be right, can it?
Jeez, this woman had got some supersonic hearing. I glance at Liana, who looks alarmed. About that. Kara's smile falters on my hesitance, but Amelia looks excited.
I knew it! My hypothesis is correct!
Hypothesis? What hypothesis?
My hypothesis that he is from a parallel world.
Liana's eyes grow wide and she forces a panicked smile. Oh yeah, we didn't tell him that we were from a different world, did we? Huh?
I think all this parallel world and temporal rift talk has been getting to you. I mean, Elder Isum said it's impossible.
He has already admitted it.
What? Liana and I have been careful not to say anything. When?
The day of our acquaintance.
I rack my brain, but I don't remember bringing that up around Amelia.
You sought out Professor Xavier's guidance, and after he imparted his advice, you and Leanna had a brief discussion in which you mentioned that what he had suggested was exactly what happened to you. Thus began my hypothesis that you arrived from a parallel world.
Liana looks at me, unsure how to react. Can you teach tonight? Come clean? What's up with these eavesdroppers? Good question. Does nobody understand the word privacy around here? You'll have a problem with eavesdropping.
It's not eavesdropping if you're speaking loud enough for me to hear.
Do not change the subject at hand.
Liana sighs.
She already knows.
Not from Terra, huh?
Zack looks me up and down and nods to himself.
That's a lot better than the alternative.
It was the alternative.
That you might be... unique.
Zack!
Unique? Excuse me? He shrugs.
He didn't even know what a discharger was.
Oh.
At least if he's from another world, that explains why he didn't know these things.
Carol looks skeptical.
How did he get here?
There have been unexplainably high concentrations of energy popping up throughout Isaria, and he happened to show up at one of those areas. We went to the Mage Academy to get some answers, and that's how we came up with the possibility that the high energy readings were temporal rifts, and somehow he had traveled through one. Why or how those rifts were even opened, we still don't know.
But if they're the only way for me to get back home, then I have to try opening one. Kara shrugs.
Let's just make sure you attempt to open one far away from where I'm standing.
That might be tricky considering no one knows how to open one. We may need to talk to Elder Isum.
That won't be necessary. I know how to do so already.
Well, she's a prodigy, so I guess, yeah, that makes sense. But how does she know how to do that? We'll stare at her. How do you know that?
The directions are located in Elder Isum's old research notes, which I have gathered from the Academy. The spell itself is a simple conjuration, which even an amateur could do.
An amateur can open a temporal rift? That's why it isn't everyone doing it.
The impossibility of the spell comes from the fact that the human body cannot manipulate the amount of energy needed for it.
She pauses, then points at me.
He may be an exception.
I squirm slightly as her gaze falls on me.
Given that you have absorbed energy directly from the temple, which should also be an impossibility, I must assume that there is something within you which can possess the high amount of magic without suffering consequences. Perhaps it is a skill which you acquired from your world.
My world doesn't have magic. Amelia blinks.
Regardless, only a short amount of time has passed. There is plenty of time for you to still internally combust.
A wave of unease makes my stomach queasy. Maybe I should open up this rift now before this has a chance of happening. Amelia grins with excitement.
I concur with that suggestion.
That may be the best now that you have the magic.
Zack shrugs and Kara takes a look at our open surroundings.
Maybe we should first look for a spot with a bit more cover. We don't want to be opening up rifts on an open pathway.
Good point.
There was some tree cover towards the west.
We mumble our affirmations and follow Zack towards the trees. We settle in the grove of trees. Both Leanna and Amelia stand on either side of me. Zack selects a tree far enough away to not be affected by the extreme magic, but close enough to get a good view of what's going on. Wait, are we actually doing this? Kara, on the other hand, hangs back towards the outskirts of the trees. Zack looks back at her, an amused smile on his lips.
You'll miss the show from back there. You sure you don't want to come any closer?
Kara's voice is distant.
Yep.
It's a bit of movement as she takes another step back behind the tree. Is she okay? Just scoot yourself closer to her. Wait, all is up for Zack? Is she okay? Are you sure you're okay back there?
Yeah, don't mind me. I'm just keeping watch.
Oh, make sure no one accidentally stumbles upon us.
Something like that.
Amelia studies the notes, then nods to herself and snaps the book shut.
The casting is quite simple. It is the same technique as any other cast.
Liana looks at me.
Are you ready?
I nod. Amelia glances at my stance, then frowns.
Your stance is incorrect. Straighten your spine.
I lengthen my spine and stand as straight as I can.
Now you are too tense. Keep yourself relaxed, but do not slump.
Okay. I release some of the tension in my back. She's about to speak again, but Leanne gently pulls Amelia to the side.
Okay, I think he gets it.
She steps in front of me and gives me an encouraging smile.
Your stance is fine. Just remember to raise your arms in front of you.
I do as she says and she nods.
Now, the actual casting part is gonna sound tricky. You'll need to focus your mind on the spell you want to cast.
So, I should just think about the temporal rifts?
Yes, but you need to connect that thought with the magical energy. Clear your mind of every thought.
I close my eyes, push away all my doubts and confusion, and focus on Leanne's voice.
Now, think about the rift that you wish to create.
Imagine tearing a hole in the fabric of reality. I don't actually know what a rift looks like or feels like. All I remember is the bright light. Should I focus on the light?
At the same time, sense for the magic within you.
I try to sense for any kind of magic, but nothing feels out of the ordinary. How do you know where the magic is?
It'll feel like a tendril or willing warmth. When you find it, reach out for it and grab hold. The magic is eager to be used and will latch on.
Focus on what Leanna says. Wish women were more like my magic. Oh my god. This is stupid. I'm gonna focus on what Leanne says. She seems like she knows what she's doing. This is so abstract, but I know I can do it. I just have to focus. Turn within and regulate my breathing. This sounds very similar to meditation, so perhaps using some technique will yield success. As my breathing becomes slow and steady, I open up my senses for any indication of another presence.
Once you find the magic, connect your thoughts of the rift with the magic, and then channel both the magic and the thoughts through your hands to cast it in the open.
I continue sensing, hoping to find even a hint of warmth. But how do I know if it's just my own warmth or the magic? Sweat beads on my temples as I strain to cast, but nothing happens. Eventually, my arms grow weary and my mind is exhausted. Decompressed with a sigh. That didn't work.
It's okay, we can try again. People aren't usually able to cast on their first try.
I mentally groan. The idea of doing all that against does not thrill me. Must still be something I'm missing.
It just takes some getting used to. Plus, you're trying to cast without a manipulator.
Oh yeah, both you and Amelia used Manipulator to cast. Maybe that's why I wasn't able to do it.
Well, the manipulator's function is to house the energy source for us to cast with. Technically, because you already have the energy within you, you shouldn't need a manipulator.
Oh.
But this is all theory anyway. It may be easier trying to cast using a crystal, especially for a first-time caster.
Regardless, there could be a multitude of factors for why this attempt was not successful. One for which could be as simple as the fact that you still did not possess enough energy to open the rift.
Shouldn't the temple have had enough?
Theoretically, perhaps, but a significant portion of the energy was already being used to sustain the elemental's image. She was able to transfer what was left of the energy to you, which from my readings was only 20% of the total energy in the temple when we started.
Suddenly, Kara is standing right beside us, as cheerful as ever.
That sounds like you all still need to explore some more temples.
I jump at her presence. Even Liana and Amelia seem surprised to see her so close. Only Zack is unaffected. How'd she get here so fast? She grins at me.
Am I wrong?
The penguin jumps out of Kara's arms and hops into mine.
Boy, boy!
I pat him on the head and he wriggles contentedly, licking the air around me.
So it could be that he doesn't know how to cast, or that he doesn't have enough energy.
Sure, but what does that mean for you all in terms of next steps? Are you going to hang out in Ember Mist until he learns how to cast?
It could take him weeks before he can even cast the simplest of spells. That is quite a long time to rely on someone else's hospitality.
True.
It sounds like it would still be in your best interest to visit at least one more temple just to be sure you have enough energy. You can teach him how to cast on the way, so by the time he gets there, he'll be ready to go.
Liana looks thoughtful.
That does seem like the better option than the alternative.
If it's the fastest way to get me back home, then I'm not opposed to having all our bases covered. Amelia nods.
That is the most efficient course of action. If we can mitigate any uncertain factors, then we can pinpoint where the weakness is and adjust accordingly for a successful cast. The research this will provide will be very informative.
Hearing Amelia's affirmation, Zack shrugs.
Since I'm here to protect Amelia, I go where she goes.
Kara smiles broadly. I don't know if you want to say Kara or Kara. I change it every single time, but you know what I mean, hopefully. Kara smiles broadly and slings her arms around Zack and Amelia, much to their dismay.
Great. Then our arrangement is still on.
Hey!
Zack moves out of Kara's grasp. She smirks.
Most men would be thrilled to have a pretty woman hug them. Right, Amelia?
That is correct. A healthy physique is inherently attractive for potential mates.
Kara lets go and starts to lead the way out of the forest.
We should spend the night in Ember Mist. We can plan our next steps there.
Once we're all in agreement, we follow Kara behind the Ember Mist. I keep saying Kara and Kara every single time. Can never decide which one I want to go with. Upon arriving, we head to the inn.
We can spend the night here. I'll meet you back down in the lobby in a few minutes.
She ventures upstairs while we secure 2 rooms with the innkeeper. As we receive our keys, Amelia excuses herself.
I wish to seek an audience with Elder Issam and continue our discussion. I would be remiss to let such an opportunity pass.
He seemed like a good guy, but maybe keep the fact that I'm not from here a secret.
Yes, that is something in which we are in agreement.
Oh, okay. She nods and leaves the inn. The decor of the inn is very similar to Elder Isam's hut. Pillars and rugs that line the ground as a few people sit cross-legged in front of the fire. A few tables line the other side of the lobby, all of which are empty. In fact, aside from the couple of people chatting by the fire, space is very empty. Once I sit down, I feel a fatigue pass over me, but I try to shake it off. I guess they don't see too many visitors here.
For a city that's supposed to be so secret, that's not surprising. It's more surprising that they have an inn.
I nod and stealthily yawn. Sit at a table as Zack orders us dinner. After a few minutes, Kara returns.
Where's Amelia?
She went to speak with Elder Isam. She nods. My eyelids droop, and I'm stifling yawns every few minutes. My limbs feel like leather weight, and it's taken all my effort to set up right. After I let out a wide yawn, Liana glances over at me.
Maybe you should go to bed. We're winding down anyway, so it'd be a good idea to get some rest.
I nod blearingly. Blearily? Is that? Blearily, okay. That sounds really good right now. I guess absorbing all that energy really takes it out of you, huh? Liana smiles at my joke.
It would seem so.
Regardless, I'm grateful for the excuse to leave. Trot upstairs and fumble with the key before opening the door. Then I fall into one of their twin cots and pass out as soon as my head hits a pillow. Damn, well, we got some sort of power in us. Obviously it's gonna be kind of hard for the body to process it all, I would think. Light filters through the window and gently pulls me out of my slumber. Slowly I push myself up in the bed and glance over to see Zack strapping on his dischargers. He notices me sit up.
Hey.
Hey.
We're meeting downstairs in a few minutes.
Alright. As Zack finishes gathering his things, I begin to get ready to go downstairs. The group gathers down in the lobby. greet everyone and turned to Amelia. How was your chat with Elder Isom yesterday?
We had a very productive discussion. In fact, Elder Isom shared more of his journals with me.
Isom, I'm pretty sure they said Isom before Isom. Whatever. Tomato, tomato. She indicates a scroll on her arm. Wow, he just given those to you?
No, these are copies I wrote to bring back with me to the academy.
We stare at Amelia. She spent all night writing those?
That's a lot of dedication.
Amelia continues.
Regardless, we discussed more on the theory of temporal rifts in the elementals, which has only strengthened my concern that we do not have enough energy.
Then that definitely means we need to seek out another temple.
Do we have a lead on where to go?
Elder Isom, through his research into the elements, did mention that historically, the Gaians, the people who originally worshipped the Earth Elemental, used to reside in the central woodlands of Asaria. The Kali, the people who worshipped the Wind Elemental, resided in the northern aerial plains. Therefore, it is most logical that the Earth and Wind Temple will be located in those respective regions.
What about the Water or Shadow Temple? She shakes her head.
The Aquarians, those who worshipped the Water Elemental, depended heavily on the seas. As such, Elder Isom was unable to pinpoint where the cultural hub of their society might have been. As for Shadow, that is a complete unknown.
If the Earth Temple is somewhere centrally located, then that would be the temple closest to us.
Liana nods.
The fastest way back will be to take the Crystal Rail, so we should return to Bazada.
Okay. With our next course of action in place, we finish up at the inn and get ready to depart. Elder Isom sees us off, much to the delight of Amelia. Are we gonna have to walk through the forest again? Oh god. Liana's not gonna have a fun time. I'll tell that. We retreat back through the forest. Liana stays by my side the whole way through, still unsettled by the forest. Luckily, nothing unfavorable happens, and we quickly make it through. As we return to Bazada, I can hear the raucous sounds of the marketplace city long before I see it. We pass through the familiar city gate and return to the early bustle of the city.
Let's pause here and take a moment to restock. There are a few items I'd like to pick up, which may be helpful.
Good idea. Why don't we all make sure we have everything we need, and then meet at the Crystal Rail station?
We all agree and split up. Spend some time browsing through the stalls again. Afterwards, I head over to the station to meet up back at the group. I'm the first to arrive at the station, but Kara shows up only a few minutes later. As the rest of the team gradually trickles in, Kara appears at the station list.
The end of the line is Stonecrest, so that's where we should go. Once we arrive there, I'll scout around and find our next course of action.
We want to reach as close to Central as possible, so traveling to the end of the Crystal Rail is a good first step.
Once we have a semblance of a plan put together, we purchase our tickets. After the train pulls into the station, we'll board and begin our journey. After traveling on a train for 2 days, we'll finally arrive in the city. Ooh, nice, a very nice place. I like it so far. I like the fountain especially, that looks really cool. I squint at the midday sun and join the others as we quickly disembark the train, grateful for a chance to stretch our legs.
Here we are, Stonecrest.
Kara pulls her arms overhead in a stretch, forcing her chest out. Zack's eyes are immediately drawn to her. She smirks at Zack, who quickly averts his gaze and stares hard at randomly cobbled in the street. Town doesn't differ much from the other towns we've seen so far. It's made up of same stone buildings and cobblestone paths. People wander in and out of the shops, going about their daily lives. The first thing we do is find and enter the inn. Alright, so now we're here. How do we figure out where to go next? Kara grins.
Just leave it to me. I'll ask around and see if I can come up with anything.
I'll keep my eyes and ears open just in case I hear something too.
Kara shakes her head.
You should relax and enjoy the city. I've got some contacts I'm going to reach out to, so I've got this.
Oh, well, if you're sure.
Kara nods.
I already have a few ideas and leads based on some of my previous scoutings for temples and hidden relics.
Okay, then let's meet back here in a few hours to regroup.
Works for me.
Amelia nods distractedly.
Now that we have something of a plan, I'll be heading off.
Me too.
Carol and Liana leave while everyone else stirs. I don't have anything pressing to do. I wonder if I can help or hang out with someone. Ooh, now we can hang out with everybody at this point or just call it. Alright. Well, the first person I'm gonna hang out with is Liana. I want to see what she's up to.